Hi, I'm Mike London. I'm visiting with artists and with arts leaders that work here in the Miami Valley. Today, I'm meeting with Commissioner Debbie Lieberman. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing
Good.
pretty good. This is going to keep me busy. You know,
Okay.
I just thought of something. It just came to me. I have this sort of, my notes down here, but you're an arts leader now. I have some other questions to ask you, but did you ever think, because Montgomery County is now so important to the arts,
Mm-hmm.
did you ever think that you would be an arts leader?
No. As much as I love the arts, I guess I never thought I'm going to be a leader. In fact, it really struck me it's been a while now, but
Yeah.
6 or 7 years ago when they asked me to co-chair the new arts program that they're doing. And I'm like, me? You want me to? Well, yeah. And so I was like, oh, okay. So Larry Claiborne and I co-chaired the 2020 arts plan.
Yeah.
I forget the title of it now, but
right.
Yeah. I love it. I love the arts in our community. Every year going to the governor's awards, and I've been on that committee that we submit the names in a coordinated fashion, and so. Sure. Yeah, that's fun. I'm on the Dayton Art Institute board, and I'm on the Dayton Performing Arts Alliance board. And I get to be the commissioner who says, we can give this much money to the arts. So yeah, it's great. It's great.
Yeah, it just occurred to me, as I said, because right now, Culture Works, everybody's going through quite a bit. Culture Works is obviously going through quite something during this pandemic and all of the arts organizations that it supports. And so we're talking, this whole effort is to talk with artists and arts leaders so that people can get to know who they are. And sure. I was just thinking, you're an arts leader, and that's when it hit me. I was like, did you ever think you'd be an arts leader? When you think back, when you were, I'm going to just ask you, when you were a kid, what was your first sort of exposure to the arts?
So I grew up mostly in Indianapolis, and my parents had season tickets to the Indianapolis Symphony, and I remember getting all dressed up with my little white gloves on and going to the symphony with my mom and dad. We did a lot of different things, but the symphony was one that really sticks in my head.
Yeah.
It was at on Butler University's campus is where they used to always, I'm trying to think of the name. I want to say Lowe's, but that's not it. But yeah, so great memories. I think I was probably 4 or 5 then. And so then after that, it was like a monthly thing, whether it was the symphony or shows or other types of art. Yeah, my parents made sure we were involved, and I was involved in plays from the time I was about in the 5th grade. And I want to say I accomplished playing the piano and the flute, but I didn't. I tried, but I didn't. Yeah. Yep. My grandmother, my dad's mom, was a concert pianist.
Oh, really?
And so I think that, she went to the University of Iowa on a scholarship.
Wow.
And I think everybody thought one of us grandkids would, carry that on, but it didn't happen. She lived in northern Indiana, and she would try to give me a lesson or say, this is what you're working on. And I'd start playing, smack my hands, and yeah. But this is the kind of cool thing. So after she passed away, I got her a grand piano.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So even though I can't play it, I can play around on it. But, and actually my cat sounds better on it than I do, but it's, and those are great memories and all centered around arts of all kinds.
So when you did go, were in some of those plays when you were younger, did you ever catch the bug?
I kind of did. And so I was started in 5th grade, all through high school. I was in whatever our play was.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorites was, Sound of Music. I got to be Mother Superior. But yeah, and so then when I go to college, I knew then that I wanted to go to law school. So I was majoring in political science, but I'm always thinking ahead, and I was like, so what will help me in the courtroom? So I took several acting classes in college just because, and it was fun. And so I was in plays in college as well. So I kind of had the bug, but believe it or not, I'm an introvert. So I really have to push myself sometimes out there. And so as much as I loved it, I don't know if I'd ever do it again.
Yeah, I've talked to, over the years, I've talked to a number of attorneys because of the work I was doing years ago in the courts, and they would say, I wish I knew something that could get me more comfortable in the courtroom, in front of people, young attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say, one of the best things you can do is exactly what you did. Take an acting class, learn what it means to stand in front of people and
improvisation and all. Yeah, I did that.
Good stuff.
Yep.
So
and think about this, Michael.
Yeah.
Now that I'm an elected official, even more acting, right? So that was a joke.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but the reality is any public official has to be prepared at a moment's notice. You might personally, the reality is you might personally have had a really bad day.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're working on and everybody else hasn't, so you really have to bring skills like that to bear so that you don't bring your bad day to all of them.
Try not to.
Yeah. No, it's important to be able to know something about presence and those kinds of things. There's so many things that we can learn in the arts that just apply to just so much throughout our lives. When you think back when you came to Dayton, and years ago in Dayton, what were the kinds of things that you found that were fun to do in the arts? Because some things were going on then aren't going on now.
You're right. Memorial Hall was still flourishing. So I moved here in '83 to go to law school. Mm-hmm. And of course, the couple years in law schools, I didn't really get out that much. But I did end up after law school. I got season tickets and saw the Broadway shows that came to Memorial Hall. And that was just around the time that the Victoria was being upgraded. And so I'd love to go to the Victoria and hear our Philharmonic. So I did things, more of the things that were, right in front of me. Mm-hmm. I didn't do so much of our wonderful like loft theater and and Dayton Playhouse and those kinds of things until I knew people that were involved in them. And I got, I'd go to things. I went to the Art Institute occasionally, but it's not until you really take a minute. And then the other thing was when my kids came along, I wanted to make sure that they were getting the exposure. And that, and so we were wonderful, with the different series that the Philharmonic does for kids. And even in preschool, we were able to do that. And so I would take them to everything, and especially when the Schuster opened, they were probably like, oh, Mom, please, Philharmonster, we always did when they were little. And so, we are so fortunate, as those of us in this world know, that we have what we have here. And it's, the performing arts, the gamut, right? Mm-hmm. To, the very small groups, but I am very concerned. This year, well, it hasn't even been a year. What has it been, 100 days?
It feels like a year, doesn't it?
It does. It feels like several years,
Yeah.
But, what it's doing to our arts organizations is devastating. And so that's why culture works, especially right now, is so important. And, giving right now is critical. And I know it's hard, but if everyone can just give a little bit, everybody, there's so many things that scare me, DC, are they going to, I'm not saying, I think they will survive. I think, but we are concerned because we were struggling before, right? As far as the funding and so now I'm I'm glad we're doing this. I'm encouraging everybody because, you're seeing all our wonderful artists and people that are engaged. and we just have to figure out a way to continue to give.
And I think that's one of the things that initially when we were started, because we postponed our campaign with the
Right,
county,
right.
and we were looking at, what can you do during this period? And so I said, well, why don't we just let people get to know the artists? You were saying before, sometimes you went to the stuff in front of you. It's only when you meet people. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes even just watching all these interviews are uncut, they're informal,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really just a conversation. I'm very lucky. I just know most of these people. And so we can have these conversations and
Yeah.
allow someone else to get to know them. So all of a sudden, you're looking at someone and you go, you don't see Bing Davis only as an icon. You know what
Right.
I mean? He's been a friend of mine for many years. But some people, they don't know him. They think of him.
Intimidated by him. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's so
And
wonderful.
he's
Yeah.
just so warm, and he's such a
Wonderful.
great guy. But to get to know them, that was the goal through all of these, is to get to know people. So maybe no matter how much money we do raise or don't raise, maybe people will be able to support in their own way, whatever it is, by attending
Yes.
something, even as, because there's some things we'll be able to attend with social distancing and some things not. And it's a right time to worry.
It is, when everything's been canceled for 2020, pretty much. I know DPAA has, so we're not going to see the Philharmonic except on social media or Zoom or whatever we end up doing with that. So we're not going to see Broadway shows. But one of the things that I've noticed in the last few months is how many opportunities we have to watch in different, and I'm talking about from the national shows all the way here. And it's really wonderful because we, creative minds are creative, right? And so I've been really pleased by that. But, one of the other things to me as a county commissioner, that's a little bit scary. We know how much our budget's cut and everything like that. But, the arts in Montgomery County in our region bring in so much money, over $200 million a year. When the Americans for the Arts have looked at, what is the impact of the arts in this region, and it's so large, it's so big, and we're going to be challenged, and not only that, but the over 6,000 jobs, maybe it's more than that. I'm saying that off the top of my head. It is 6,000. So that many jobs in the region are related to the arts. So
the impact, that impact is enormous. But think about one of the things that, well, this, one of the things is a reality in the arts is that the arts economy is also in many aspects a gig economy. So
for sure.
So it's hard to count the number of jobs, the number of artists that are impacted. I don't, if you're no longer
I have a lot of friends that this is what they do. I mean, they perform at different events. And so if you think about it, all the galas have been canceled. And so some of those performers, came and played the guitar or music, or I'm thinking of one of my favorites, Puzzle of Light, and so we're all kind of shut down now I don't know with, bars opening back up and restaurants, how they're going to do with any music or any entertainment, but we don't know.
No, we don't. And it's going to be hard to predict. And I think, the reality is as we've talked about before, we're going to be living with this for a while. This isn't tomorrow or overnight. We do need to get real. And so finding whatever way it is we can support is going to be the way. So for some of us, it's going to be to actually go online to the DaytonArtInstitute.org and watch something and see something and introduce, bring it into the curriculum that we're using at home with our children. There's such a wide range of things that we can do. And the truth of the matter is, it doesn't make any difference. It honestly, if you give $1 or $100, you're making a contribution.
So, if you look at it this way, the artists are still making art for us, right?
Yes.
But guess what? They're not getting the money, so some of the, and I've been very pleased to hear about some arts patrons that are still, they bought their season tickets. They know there's not going to be anything, but they're like, keep it. Just, keep it, and that's wonderful, but it's going to take so much more. And so I'm glad that, Michael, you thought of this, because we have to encourage everyone, not just county employees, but everyone.
Everybody.
We sometimes we take for granted what we actually have here.
Yeah.
And because I know throughout the country, other commissioners or other family members or friends, like, wow, you guys, for a city your size, you sure have everything. And we do, and we want to keep it, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think the idea that we have approximately 6,000 jobs that we can identify, and we're probably looking in the arts, and we're just talking about the artists and arts organizations. We're probably talking pushing upwards of 10,000 when we look at the numbers in the gig economy that aren't registered as a separate job. They're self-employed, and they may even have the day job that can help be the paid job. And some artists I've talked to have been laid off from their day job, so they're really getting hurt. You were talking before about the impact. I don't think people understand what that some people don't understand what that means. When you say we have an impact, the arts have an impact of $200 million in this small community, how do people understand? Like, they go, how can that happen? What does that mean?
Well, so when you look at all of our different arts organizations, whether it's the Art Institute or any of our performing arts groups, so let's say you come down for the ballet, okay? And so your tickets or season tickets, fund some of that. No, it's not going to fund it all, right?
Right.
But then you look at, let's say they go out to dinner and you have dinner downtown or wherever, so that impact, there's really smart people that have studied this.
Sure.
And, again, Americans for the Arts, they really do a great job. And we were one of the regions that they looked at seriously a couple of years ago. Yeah. And that's how we know so much of this. Of course, CultureWorks is always keeping up to date on it all too, but
so the parking, you mean all of those things?
Everything around it kind of goes to that impact. Yeah.
It's really it really is significant, and a lot of times we don't, it's not on our mind. We're not necessarily thinking about it unless we're involved in it, but it's important to know. Now's the time of giving. So let me ask you this: if I've got and sometimes I do, if I've got 50 county employees with me and I'm, talking to them about what we're doing with CultureWorks, what's your message to them today?
Well, I think we've already gone over our message, but I think our message is that the arts are so critical, whether you enjoy going to things or not, right? I mean, it's critical to our economy, the whole infrastructure of the arts really not only makes us a place where people want to come locate as far as businesses or even people, how do we keep our youth here? How do or bring people back home? It all fits into that that whole holistic kind of world around that the arts are part of it. The arts are so significant in our economic development, in our social development, and because of our diversity of the arts, there's so much that you can be over here, watching. We don't have Rhythm and Shoes anymore, but something similar to that, all the way up to a Broadway show or the opera. So because it's such a variety and we are diverse and one of the things I'm really happy that we as a county through the Arts and Cultural District, we've been able to give grants again to individual artists.
Yes.
So that's big. And so we've seen, so many things come out of that. As someone that we know well did a play at the Art Institute, The Death of a Lie, Yeah. And so she was able to do that because she had a grant, you know,
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
we are, by giving whatever you can give, it really makes an impact. It makes an impact. And all of that works together so for county employees, having a strong economy makes sure that we're going to have money to pay people, right? And so
Yeah, it's
kind of
true.
all works together, but it also just builds such a greater community. So
Yeah.
that was a
Thank you.
long-winded way to say that, Michael, but
No, but yeah, but you know, a lot of times we just don't always think about all
I
the
know.
impact
Right.
and all
Right.
the connections. And you're right; it's so incredibly interwoven. We don't
Mhm.
think that when there's all this activity downtown, that's generating tax dollars, and as tax
Sure.
dollars go to pay for
Sure.
services, and I mean
Yeah,
the domino effect is really significant.
it is. It is.
Um, yeah, I was at the final. It was pure coincidence, but I mean, you know, because I see you out, and I'm out there all the time going to something, and I was at the last performance at the Human Race
Oh,
on that Wednesday evening,
yeah.
and with a friend of mine, a playwright, and it was such a good piece that they had done that night. And I think it was the next week I had talked to somebody else, I don't know, weeks before, and we had other plans. And I thought, no, those are canceled right now. And of course,
Mhm.
in the early days, we didn't know what a lot of
Yeah,
this
we
meant.
didn't know it was going to be this long.
No, we just knew it was for the moment.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I, to this day, I mean, that's the last live performance that I've seen, was that night at the race. And I mean, it was an incredible performance. And there's just, as wonderful as these things are, if you will, online, and there really is some great
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And we've had readings at Ohio Playwrights. There's just lots of things that are going online. But
Mhm.
as you and I know, it's just not quite the same thing as
It's not.
live. It's
It's
not the
not.
same experience, that dynamic. And it's these organizations that keep it alive, and that's why we need to support.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Thank you so much for taking the
Oh,
time
thank
today.
you.
I
Thank you for what
appreciate
you
this.
do actually to continue every year to make sure that our county is doing our part. I'm so happy that how many years ago did we decide to do this? 10? I don't know. You
Yeah,
know.
it's been a while.
It's been, yeah,
Yeah,
it's so great, and it's always so much fun. Of course, we're missing that. We're missing the live performances
yeah.
in the buildings, but I'm looking forward to seeing everybody once you're done with all of this. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. I've been really pleased,
Thank you so
and I
much.
I really hope that this does allow for people to get to know the arts
Yeah.
leaders. And I just recently spoke to Michael Redinger, who's the
Mhm.
director at the Art Institute. You know,
Yeah.
we need to know who these people are as people, and it just allows us to take one more step closer to the arts.
Well, thank
Debbie,
you so much.
thank you. Absolutely.
All right.
All
Take
righty,
care.
I'll see you.
Bye.
Bye.